Hello, 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 beautiful. This is Okeba Anahata Ra. Uh, I hope that you are well. I hope you're doing very well. I'm fine. I'm doing well. Yeah, it gets cold. It gets make sure somebody loves you. I'm listening to some Molly music. Really like his music. Yes, the brother is extremely talented. If you've never looked him up, his name is Molly Music, and he plays the piano. Um, yeah, I think that's the only instrument he plays, but he raps, he sings, and he just has a nice sound. And his all of his music is very um, lyrically appealing, lyrically appealing, and he has a lot of praise music, as well as just it's just all conscious music. So I like to give up and give big props to people who are who make good conscious music, right? Always. So anyway, I hope that you're well. I hope that you're doing good in the midst of all of these things. I hope you're putting your stash away. I didn't talk about that before, but I do want to mention that you are having some cash and carry. Back in the day, they used to do cash and carry. People paid for everything by cash. Nowadays, we use cards and we use debit cards and everything to pay for stuff and cash apps or what have you. But don't be so dependent on it right now that you walk around with nothing in your pocket and no access to money. Please go make sure you have some cash and carry. Make sure you have some things, and make sure you're making some of those investments in solid investments, things that hold their value, like gold and silver. This is not a video about that, but I just wanted to mention that in here. I saw a video of a grandma. I had to subscribe to her channel because she was talking about a letter that her bank gave to her about using your pennies, your coins, because stores, as you've noticed, stores, they don't have the change to give to you anymore, and the stuff is not being in circulation or what have you. I'm not sure exactly why it is that there aren't enough coins, but I know a lot of people aren't paying with cash anymore, and it'll be a real problem if something gets jammed up in the system. So don't put all your stock in there. Have some stuff for you. Have some things of value that you keep on hand, that you keep in possession for if at a point in time we have to come back to bartering and trading and using cash, strictly cash. Anyway, that's a side note. With that mindset and thinking about preparing, learning, as we learn these sorts of things by watching videos and reading and learning more about money, I want to talk about parenthood really quick. I'm not going to make this too long, but it is something that I see it's a real concern. Excuse me. It's a real concern in dealing with our children, specifically those of who consider themselves to be African Americans, not consider themselves, but those who are African Americans, or better known as foundational Black Americans. Us specifically, because we are the ones who have been through a great deal in terms of having culture stripped from us, and in our efforts to produce culture have taken on a lot of behaviors that in many ways can be considered pathological. Post-traumatic slave syndrome and illness, mental things that we've carried on that haven't been so healthy, but we've practiced it because we were trying to hold on and maintain some things. I'm not going to beat up on my people for trying to live in a system that has been slighted against them, that used them as currency, as black gold, and that used our labor and has never repaid us for it. I'm not going to beat up on my people for trying to maintain and function. And we found many ways to try to cope, and our pain came out through our music and the blues. And so sometimes those things are low, sometimes those things are very emotional, and it ties into a lot of negativity, because these are the things that we felt, these are the things that we experienced, as well as how we've dealt with one another, our anger and our frustration, and keeping us on those lower chakras because of the pain, and not being moved past that and going from generation to generation. And so many things about our people activity, from the foods that we eat, the things that we are entertained by, the ways we interact with each other, even how we care for ourselves and our bodies, and our spiritual systems. All of it ties into the of our ability to cope and to live through the pain that we have suffered, right? But I am about us healing, and this is a day in the age of information. And so I don't see it as okay to continue to live in ignorance and to continue to do things pathologically when you see it doesn't work anymore. So we can love our ancestors, we can love our grandparents, our parents, and respect them for doing what they're doing. My motto is always, people do the best that they can given what they know at the time, right? But as you learn better, you do better. And that is the charge that I have for parents today. All of us as parents today, there's a plethora of information out here about parenting, about what can be considered good parenting. And we're going through a transition in this nation about what is considered good parenting and such. So you have many different voices about this sort of thing. My suggestion to you is, here's the suggestion that I put out for all of us, whether you are a parent or not, because you never know when you may be put into a situation to have to be a parent of someone else's child. If you're an auntie or uncle, you may oftentimes have to be parent. If you are, if you work with children, you may be that. And just also, I think it's a good idea for a culture of people and as a society of people to always be groomed into a level of motherhood and fatherhood, because it makes you become much more mindful about the behaviors that you carry out. Society functions much differently when it focuses on its children and the good of its children, the next generation. We become a much more conscientious people about how we engage with the environment, how we take care of it. We become much more conscious about the type of music we allow to be aired, the types of foods that people are eating, the type of language, everything. We become much more conscientious about it when we are preparing for the future ahead. And that is something that, in my opinion, has been lost. That's something that in this country, I think has been done or had been done for a long time. But we seem to be moving away from some of that in many aspects when we think about the bigger picture. Things like capitalism has taken over and bled into the mindsets of the individual. So you have individuals who think like corporations in a sense, like, that whole idea of if it gives you profit, go ahead for it. And let's not bother, or let's no matter what the detriment is. Let's not matter. It doesn't much matter what the consequences of it are. So, we cannot function like that as a society. And we absolutely, as African Americans, as foundational Black, we can't function like that. And I have to keep saying foundational Black. I explained to you all why that. This is not just for, these videos are not just for African Americans. I think anybody perhaps can get some jewels and some tips from this. But I speak most of it towards us because that's initially where I'm coming from, and it is our group that needs that assistance and guidance. So here's what I would say to you is to find someone or people, number one, who you can consider to be like a mentor parent. Someone, and by a mentor parent, this is someone who's walked that walk of being a parent, and they have the fruit to show for good parenting, okay? They're not just talking, you actually see the fruit, right? You guys can listen to the things that I say, and that's awesome. And I try to give you things from what I'm actually experiencing, what I'm learning, but I study other people. I study information. I learn from other people. I'm not just going off on the cuff. And when I make mistakes, I try to make corrections on it. I try to live my life as a lifelong learner. And I'm saying that to say some of you guys may listen to me and you're like, okay, well, I'll follow you in what you do. But most of you don't know me up close and personal. You don't know my children. I've given you a window into my family and into my children, but you don't know us up close and personal. I think my husband and I do a pretty good job, a very good job at raising our boys, which is very difficult. It's very challenging. We have an older one who's now in college, and We have a child who has special needs, and we do some homeschooling. We have things going on, but they're children like other children, and we are doing it without a lot of family help or assistance, which means that it's even the more challenging for us. It is around the clock. It can be tiring and taxing, and I don't know everything. And I can't say that I came from great parenting. And, I tend to applaud him on his parents, but he may not say, he doesn't necessarily, feel exactly the same way, but that was his experience with his own parents. But we both are looking at this as an experience where we're learning and we're growing. And the big thing that I appreciate with us and our family and how we operate is that we are both lifelong learners, and we're willing to learn from those who have shown and proven, and those who what they're saying makes sense. So we continue to grow. My husband and I are both educators. We were both teachers, and that's a big plus, because it taught us a lot about child development and development about the brain and the body and what's necessary and what's needed. Those benefits. So like I said, we're lifelong learners in that, and I give you the charge to be a lifelong learner too. You be a lifelong learner too, and take the parenting aspect seriously. We can no longer live and do things the way we have been doing it for so long, whereas, the children will just pick up by watching mom, by watching dad. No, you got to give some hands-on. You got to be in there interacting with them. It's not enough simply for daddy to be in the home, but he's not taking an effort. He's not taking real effort to do things, to interact with his children, his sons and his daughters. Right? Sons and your daughters. The mothers have always been there for the longest time. The fathers, I think we have to pull them in a little bit more. Welcome them. Let them know that their help and their input is absolutely wanted, absolutely needed for their sons and their daughters, and the interaction that the two of you guys have, whether you all are married, whether you are divorced, whether you've never been married, but you're interacting for the sake of your children, still it's hugely important that you have a positive relationship with one another in front of the children and outside of their presence, because that only helps the children. Encourage him to be a part of their lives. And as you, as mom, continue to grow as a mother. Continue to grow. Look for good examples of good mothers. And don't be scared to copy somebody. Don't be afraid to copy what you might see somebody else doing if it is a good thing, right? Whatever is good, whatever is praiseworthy, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, right? Like they say in the book, I think it's in the book of Galatians, whatever is good, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is honorable and worthy of praise, give it praise, and think upon these things and enlighten these things, not enlighten these things, but rather allow that light to shine and allow it to shine in you, and you start to bring that forth. This is not about, this is my thing, I'm doing it my way. Parenting doesn't happen under a rock, and you can pull yourself away from everybody, but that only leaves you isolated and in a space where you make more mistakes and where it's harder. Reach out to those who can give you help. And even if your parent wasn't a perfect parent, I promise you they can still teach you some things. So start working on the healing process of dealing with your own parents, so that maybe they can teach you some things and you can learn more about why they may have approached situations the way that they did, etc. So this video was about, I guess I went a little longer than I said. This video was largely about us becoming better parents, knowing that our children don't learn by osmosis, but they learn by direct contact and interaction with us. They do see us, they do learn from the things that they see from us, but we also want to take many opportunities to sit with them and talk with them and teach them and actually ask them questions, so you know what's going on in their minds and their thoughts, especially as they start hitting puberty. At that point, when they start to pull away, don't let them continue to pull away. You continue to pull at them, continue to pull them in, continue to keep them close, continue to keep them a part of the family, interacting with them. Don't let them go off in their own world, because we are living in an environment where there's so many things that will pull them away, and they're just too much. It's too much junk up out here to allow them to pull away on their own. I know you might be tired, but don't let your babies go just yet. I've said that many times. Don't let them go just yet. Keep them close. Keep them close. All right. So learning from someone who can teach you, and also reading and studying, watching good videos that are about parenting, different tips and tools that you can learn about good discipline, and everything that will help you as being a wonderful parent. All right, that's it. And it only makes you a better person overall. We give thanks always. I give thanks for this. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it and subscribe if you haven't already. And that's it. Y'all have a very beautiful, beautiful day. This is helping you to be more beautiful, as well as your children and your family. All right? Y'all take care. Peace.